Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, Lore and Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. As we all know, Devil May Cry 5 is essentially a poor man's Bayonetta. It's it has less content, less sophisticated combat, worse visuals, and just a train wreck of a story that nobody really can follow or cares about. Dante's entire saga so far has just been him going through castles and mashing the triangle button to just stomp everything that gets in his way in derivative, uninspired, boring action-based combat sequences. That is Devil May Cry. And one of the things I've noticed going into Bayonetta 3 is how big of a push there was to try and convince you, the gamer, like the normie who doesn't know anything about this stuff, that Bayonetta 3 is objectively inferior to Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry is the superior action game franchise. And this is something I've been talking about for a long, long time because it seems to be the defining characteristic of Devil May Cry fanboys to be extremely antagonistic to every other action game franchise that remotely resembles it. So you have a lot of people shitting on Ninja Gaiden for the same reasons, and those games, I think, Ninja Gaiden and Bayonetta are both way, way better than any of the Devil May Cries. And I don't even think there's really much reason to dispute that. And I think a minor example of this, one that my community kind of brought up to me is the sheer difference in quality of level design. Bayonetta 3, you have these crazy situations, you have massive set pieces. You have a lot of gameplay variety. You have you're swinging across rooftops on giant spiders. You're getting into kaiju fights. You're getting into rhythm battles. There's mild platforming. There's all these really intense, really fun, cool to look at sequences, right? Like set pieces, like great boss fights, interspersed throughout. Bayonetta just has really, really good level design. As opposed to Devil May Cry, every single Devil May Cry, not just five, but one, two, three, and four, especially four because of the backtracking. Every single Devil May Cry game actually has extremely poor level design. Right, you have those awkward camera angles that look like they came right out of a Resident Evil game. You have you're wandering around in circles trying to figure out where to go. The corridors are cramped and uninspired. Like there's all these really ridiculous puzzles that break up the flow of the gameplay. Devil May Cry just is essentially just a hallway simulate. It's just a hallway walking game with occasional monster fights. Right? You can beat Devil May Cry 1 in probably less than an hour if you know what you're doing. I myself will probably beat it in less than 3, and I've only beaten the game once. So I know I have a lot of I have firsthand experience with how short, easy, and trivial Devil May Cry actually is. And it's not something that people really talk about. The narrative right now is that Bayonetta is has too much going on. Like there there are too many QTEs. There's too many changes in gameplay. This isn't what we wanted. We just want to fight things. We just want to press triangle and win. That's the Devil May Cry mindset. They don't respect just the sheer amount of creativity that these sections bring to the table. They don't respect what they do in breaking up the flow of the gameplay to give you a little bit of a break while still challenging you in unique, interesting, fun ways. I find myself enthralled with the set pieces and the design of Bayonetta 3, and in Devil May Cry, I just find myself falling asleep. It's so exhausting seeing how boring Devil May Cry actually is if you actually try and sit down to play it after playing better action games like God Hand, like Bayonetta, like Ninja Gaiden. There are just so many alternatives that are just objectively better than DMC. I don't know why anyone would honestly seriously get invested in that franchise.